y'all, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make these really easy but pretty realistic looking Valentine's Day sugar cookies. Stay tuned and I'll show you how to make them.
Alrighty, y'all. So many of you have been asking for me to please do some more fake food videos. Now, I'm going to be doing cupcakes in the very near future. And I know it's aggravating because if you follow me on Instagram, quite a while back, I had put up some photos of the fake cupcakes that I made and never got around to making the video because that's how my brain works, or it doesn't work, however you want to view it. But what we're doing is making these fake heart-shaped sugar cookies. You know, like the big puffy loft house sugar cookies. That's kind of what I'm hoping to accomplish here. Now, fake food, a lot of people ask, why do you even do that? It's a huge industry. When you're watching a movie and people are sitting around with like all this food on the table, do you think all that's real? No, it's not. A lot of it's fake. Photographers use this, you know, as backdrops, as props. That's what that's the word I'm looking for, props. Real estate agents, when they want to like stage a home, you know, to make it look more comfortable, more inviting, more homey, they use a lot of fake food in their setups when they're touring houses. So it's a big industry. My grandfather, if you follow me on social media, you know that a long time ago, this would have been in the 60s, my grandfather had a very popular restaurant, and he made a lot of fake food for his displays. So I've always been around the idea of fake food. But for this, what you're going to need is some cookie cutters. I got these cookie cutters at Joann's. It's a set of 1, 2, 3, 4. I can count. 4 from Wilton. Now, when you're doing stuff like this, I like to keep my actual cooking things separate from my crafting things, okay? So this cookie sheet is so old, I'm not going to use it anymore. I've covered it with parchment paper. These cookie cutters will be kept here in the craft room, separate from the ones that I'm going to be using, you know, for real cookies. You're going to need a rolling pin. This one is, I still have a little bit of clay stuck to it. This one is made out of silicone. I got this one at Walmart. If you look in the description box, though, and I'll try to pin a comment, I'll go through my Amazon shop and try to put together a collection of things that you're going to need to start making all this stuff, okay? But this rolling pin is made out of silicone, and it's really awesome to use when you're working with clay and things like that. If you do not have a silicone rolling pin, when you're rolling out your clay, just put another piece of parchment paper on top and roll over top of that, okay? But the clay that we're going to be using is this air dry clay. This is a big 5-pound tub from Walmart. It was $10. It is white. I know they have like a terracotta color, but this is white. That's what I'm going to be using. So I want to get this pan out of the way. Oops, I hit the table. And then I'm going to put out another piece of parchment paper here to work on top. All right. Let's flip it over. So first off, what we're going to do is pull up our sleeves. I'll open up these cookie cutters here just in a second. Why are you not opening? Now this is what your clay looks like. Yes, I've already been playing with it. I like to squish clay. You're not going to need all this. Well, you might, depending on how many cookies you want to make. But this is what it looks like. And you're just going to break some off. It's fairly squishy and sticky. Now, if it's too thick to work with, depending on, you know, where you live in the climate, some of this can get, you know, a little bit too firm to work with. You can add a little bit of distilled water to it, okay, just to thin it out. Let's see. I'm not going to use a whole lot of this right now. I'm going to make a whole stack of these cookies, but for the sake of the video, I'm not going to be using a whole lot. So, woo! That just shook the whole world. So now we have our big blob of clay, and I'm going to go ahead and open up these cookie cutters. Now you can use whatever shape of cookie cutters you want to, but because these are going to be for Valentine's Day, I'm using the heart-shaped ones. So I just mush this. I'm trying to not get it everywhere. Just mush it. Well, knead it. I say mush because I like that word better. Mush it, mush it, mush it, just for a few minutes, just to get it pliable, get everything worked in together. My pink jewelry here, matching my pink shirt. Like I've mentioned in a lot of other videos, and I'll keep mentioning it because I like this stuff. But this is from Paparazzi. I am a paparazzi consultant. If you will look in the description box, I'll leave a link to where you can go and shop. If you click on that link and then click on the word shop, you can find the jewelry. You can also sign up to be a consultant, which is awesome because then you get like a pretty decent discount on your jewelry. and it's fun. So as you can see, I'm just rolling it out. Rolling. You just roll it out however thick you want your cookies. You can make them thin, you can make them on the thicker side. Now, as far as letting this stuff dry, okay? If you're making like a thick sculpture, like a ball, you know, like the kids like to make like little teddy bears and stuff, it can take 2 to 3 days to dry. But see, we're kind of rolling this out kind of thin. This is about 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch. You need to let it dry at least a whole entire day, if not 2 days, okay? You really want this to be dried out. So let's see if it's big enough for... No! Not big enough for my cookie cutter. You know what? Get out of my way. Let's use this cookie cutter, because this is pretty cute. Look at that one. Like the little decorative edge. So then we're just going to put it right there and press straight down. Make sure we get it all the way around. And then just pull this up. I said I was going to pull it up. And there's my cookie. Look at my cookie. Let's get this out of the way. And I'm going to get the pan and set this on top of it. You have to go on the floor if you're not going to behave. Okay. So I'm just going to put that there. And let's kind of... I'm trying to be nice. You're going to make me get rough here in a minute. Just kind of pressing that out. There we go. Okay. Well, look at that. I've got a speck of glitter in it. Now, don't worry about any like little dents and dings in it, because we're going to be covering it with some frosting here later once it is fully dry. But what I'm going to do now is this paintbrush is fairly thick and stiff bristles. You know, cookies have texture. They're not exactly smooth. You see that piece of glitter is getting on my nerves. But anyway, I'm just going to take this paintbrush and just kind of stipple gently just a little bit of texture there. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, but I want to. I'm just barely tapping it. Barely tapping it just to get a little bit of texture. I'm not going to do it all over the whole cookie because, like I said, we're going to be covering up with some of our frosting. I just want to give it a little bit of something just to try to make it look more realistic. Now, I have seen people that, you know, they just cut it out with the cookie cutter and then leave it. I don't really like that. Doing it this way gives you a bit more realistic effect. All right. We'll tap over that so it's not so harsh. Kind of give it a bit of, ooh, that's looking good. Just kind of give it, you know, like a softer look. Tap, tap, tap. Tap, 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 tap. All right. It's looking good. Now I'm just going to do it on the sides here. Just around the edges. Like so. All right. So now that's how you make your basic cookie. That little section right there is bothering me. I'm just going to tap it out flat. There we go. All right. Just keep tapping around the edges to give it that texture. Okay. We're going to be painting these after they harden up, okay? All right. So there is that. Now I'm going to go ahead and make some more, and then I'm going to let this sit for a day or so to dry out, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how we're going to paint it, and then we're going to put on some frosting, and then we're going to seal them. All right, so it has been 3 days. I have glue on my paintbrush here. It's been 3 days, well, almost 3 full days, and our cookies are now dry and hardened and set up. You see, like all the texture there we put on the side with that paintbrush. I like that a lot better than just cutting them and leaving them. So now you can paint them if you want to before we start to do the frosting. Now, you don't have to paint them, but as you can see, this is sort of a... I'm not a fan of the color, okay? It's sort of like a mucky looking color. Now, you know these sugar cookies, the frosted sugar cookies in the grocery store, they're really pale. But, you know, if you want, you can paint them whatever color you like. Now, I like this color Light Mocha from Apple Barrel. Give sort of a nice look. Now, if you're going to sell these, I suggest painting the back as well. I'm making these for my home, and they're going to be going on a tiered tray, so I'm not concerned with it. But I'm just going to give them a coat of this paint. And with all the little indentions there, I'm just taking the end of my paintbrush and just kind of packing it down in there. And I'm not going to put on a thick coat at all, okay? Not a thick coat, just a thin coat. There we go. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and paint both of these. I have a whole tray full of these that I cut out. And this is the big one. It is not, it's very cold here, okay? And it is not 100% completely done in the very center. So I'm going to let this one sit for another day before I decorate it. But all of the small ones are finished. So let me finish painting them, and then we'll come back and put on some frosting. All right, so the paint is almost dry, and I'm going to tell you, when you put the acrylic paint on there, because these are made out of clay, they are going to be absorbent, and they are going to suck up that paint. It doesn't take hardly any time at all for them to dry. So now we're going to make some frosting, and if you've watched my other videos where I made the faux frappuccinos from Starbucks, then you already know this, but this is what you're going to need to make your frosting. This is the Fast and Final Lightweight Spackling from DAP. I got this from, where was it? Lowe's. Lowe's or Home Depot, one of those. I believe it was Lowe's. Dollar Tree does carry this in smaller containers, but at the moment, my Dollar Tree was out. But see, it's very, very lightweight for the size of container, and it has to say lightweight, okay? Has to say lightweight. If you get the heavier kind, it is too heavy to hold shape, to hold, you know, like when you're piping onto your fake cupcakes and stuff, it's just going to flatten, and it doesn't look near as nice as if you use the lightweight stuff. So this is what you need. No matter which brand it is, lightweight, I think some of it is called featherweight, but you'll be able to tell. When you pick up this container, it's going to feel like there's hardly anything in it, as opposed to the other containers, when you pick them up, they're very dense and very heavy. So I have this plastic bowl here. What even is that? There's glitter or something. I don't know. So now I'm going to take just a plastic spoon. I'm going to scoop out some. See this wonderful stuff? Looks like whipped cream. Get in the bowl. It puts the spackle in the bowl. Get in the bowl. How many cookies? I have 5. That might be enough. I don't know. Let's do one more spoonful. That might be too much. I don't know. Put the lid back so this does not begin to dry out. And now what you're going to do is you can color this, and I'm going to be using this acrylic paint. This is the color Pink Parfait. Now keep in mind, this is white, and so whatever paint that you put into is going to lighten up a little bit, okay? So to start off with, I'm just going to put a tiny little bit, just like that. And then just stir it around, mix, 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 mix. And this can take me a second. You can also use a plastic fork to kind of smush it around, but let's see what kind of results I can get with the spoon first. So I'm going to mix it, mix it, mix it, and we'll come back. Okay, so I had this all mixed up, and you want to make sure that there's no streaks. Look, I dropped a bead in it. I'm going to tell you about these darn beads here in a second. I got these glass beads from Dollar Tree. You can see them over here. These pink beads. They are a pain in the behind to open. A pain. And when I opened it up, a handful of the beads popped out. So they kind of just went and flew everywhere. But anyway, now that this paint has set up and you have your frosting made, I'm going to be using a popsicle stick to smear it on. You use whatever you want to use. Let's see if I can... Ooh, hello. And I'm just going to take some like this. And just put it on there. So I have seen some people seal the cookies before they do this. I don't like doing that, and I'll tell you why. That makes it incredibly difficult for your frosting to stick. And then you run the risk of it just peeling right off later, okay? So I like to frost them first and then go back. Then go back with a sealant. And we'll talk about the sealant here in a minute. But you just frost it like you're doing normal cookies. Just like you would frost cookies. It doesn't matter how you put this on. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just glop it on there however you like. I'm trying to hold this up so that y'all can see it. See? Just like that. Now I'm going to continue frosting these cookies, and as I'm frosting them, I'm going to take some of these glass beads, zoom back out, some of these glass beads here, and I'm just going to sprinkle them on just like you would candy sprinkles. Take this and I'm just going to barely tap it, just to kind of set it down in the frosting, just like that. But let me work on these for a second. All right, so I have the beads put on 2 of these cookies, and let's take a look. There's one, and then there is the other, and now I'm going to decorate the others. Now, you need to let this spackle set up for at least 24 hours, depending on the humidity in your area and all like that. You know, you can read on the label, and it'll tell you about how long it takes to set up. But the thing here is, you want to make sure it is completely and totally dry before you seal it. Now, I have had people in the past to ask me, well, do you seal it before it's dry or afterwards? And I'm not trying to be snarky here, but I'm trying to teach the thinking behind things, okay? If this is wet, and then you put a sealant on top of it, what are you doing? You're sealing in the moisture. And you don't want to do that. You want this to be completely and totally dry so that when you seal it, you're not sealing in any moisture. Now, what I like to use for the fake food type deals is this right here. Now, for the cookies, I don't want them to be shiny because that doesn't look very realistic. You know, cookies don't look glassy, at least these type. So this is the Rust-Oleum 2-time Ultra Cover. It's matte. Matte clear. Matte clear. If you want to use gloss, use gloss. You use whatever you want. But for me and my cookies, we shall use the matte kind. So I'm going to let these set up. I'm going to let the others sit up after I get done decorating them, like I said, at least for a day. And then I'm going to give them 1 or 2 good coats of this and let them dry. And then they'll be ready for use for decorating. So anyway, stick around after the video and I will have a photo of the finished cookies. I hope you enjoyed it. If you would, give me a thumbs up. Click subscribe. Check me out on other forms of social media, the links to all of which will be in the description box down below. And I hope to see y'all next time.